What's going on YouTube? Warstorm here, coming at you guys another video. Today I'll be talking about the latest ban list. I apologize for not getting it up yesterday, but I went to locals last night, so I didn't really have time to edit the video yet, make the video yesterday, so I'm making it today, and just giving you all thoughts on the ban list. Now, this ban list came a little bit earlier than I expected, but it's definitely a good list. I think it's a very there's got some very necessary changes on here, so out of the way, we'll go ahead and get straight into it. So the first ban card on this list is Fairy Tale Snow. Snow is a strange hit, but I understand it. There's Construct, which, spoiler, it came off on this list, so like it's a really powerful card. There's no doubt about that. And when you have things like it, really, can you imagine burning? And the fact it makes Burning Abyss go so good with Hydralander and Cherubini come out. I think it was something Konami really didn't want to exist in a world with Construct, and it really, honestly, I feel like Snow is being hit more for BA than anything else. It's an odd time to hit it because you think it would have been hit when, it was more relevant, but nevertheless, this makes Burning Abyss, this is kind of, I think, more of a move to hit Burning Abyss because you force them to play a different build and play Cherubini when it comes out, and I think that's in general is one of the goals of the ban list, is to push new products. So this is going to make BA players play a different build than the current Sekka Hydralander build that is popular. Is Hydralander still viable in BA? I think so, but it's going to be a lot harder to meet its summoning conditions all the time. But that being said, Burning Abyss is still a very, very good deck. It's definitely taken some hits on. Losing Snow is a big hit for the deck, and but let's be real, it's not once per turn. It's a card that probably shouldn't have existed in the first place, so kudos to Konami for getting rid of it. Grinder Golem, this is pretty obvious to me. This is two things: Slash Draw FTK and Security Dragons coming in dual power. It really wasn't doing anything at one, but at the same time, I really just don't think Konami wanted to even chance that the Security Dragon shenanigans, so that's why it's banned. One card combos into nonsense is not something Konami really wants, and it just makes sense to get rid of it now, sooner rather than later. Then the newly banned Link monster is Topologic Gumblar Dragon. I think this was the main card everyone was complaining about, and it's good to see it gone. Having cards that knock cards out of the hand, there's no real healthy way, no defense or healthy way to describe this card. It should have been banned. It needed to be banned, and it's a good thing that they did. One thing that we can say about the last couple ban lists is Konami has made some moves that most of us did agree on, and banning Gumblar does make sense. Other two new banned Xyz monster is Tomahawk and Ragnaminiad. Tomahawk, I feel like, is more of a hit for some of the danger combos that people were running, where if people were playing Dogman, which is the crappy level 7, just to summon Tomahawk, which it just allows, if we can't have a 3 scapegoat, I don't really see why Tomahawk should exist either. And this really does it does hurt the danger engine to an extent, because now you can't overlay into Tomahawk and extend, but it's a good thing to see it gone for sure. Rongo is also gone instead of Gossip Shadow. Definitely the correct move in my opinion. Gossip Shadow is actually played in the OCG version of Salomon Great, which is the new structure deck that's coming out next month, so it didn't make a whole lot of sense, for my opinion, for Konami to hit Gossip Shadow when it's played in a new deck. So Rongo, and this is also kind of like, it just needed to go. And Gossip Shadow is a newer card, Ragnaminiad's an older card. It just makes sense to hit Rongo, and it won't be a problem in the future. So a new banned spell is Soul Charge. Soul Charge, I feel like Soul Charge wasn't really a problem until we got Master Rule 4. The insane combo extension it enables for the Link mechanic, it was a bit too powerful, and this again forces you to play new cards. Of course, Monster Reborn is still at 1, but you have War Legacy Succession, which is not as good as Soul Charge, but it's an extender, so it forces people to play that instead. Soul Charge was probably a long time coming, and it's surprised it took them this long, but it's banned now, probably for good reasons, in my opinion. I feel like it's a good hit on Konami's part. Now, as far as the limited section, Chaos Emperor Dragon got its errata in the jump promo, so it's coming back to 1. I don't think it's going to have a major impact, but you never know. Some of the crazy chaos combos people come up with, it remains to be seen, but it's still a 3,000 body, which isn't terrible, but I think the errata if would have been more relevant if the errata had consumer, because now we have the Chaos Dragon from Soul Fusion, which is a better card. So yeah, I don't know if Chaos Emperor Dragon is gonna. Then one of the big limits a lot of people are talking about is Cyberstein. Cyberstein, I feel like, has been a card that could have come back a very long time ago. Now I understand there are some FTKs and some that are very fragile and lose to hand traps, but you're paying 5,000 life points to summon a monster from your extra deck, a fusion from your extra decks, which is powerful, obviously, if it goes off. But we're in a format where if they don't have any permanences, they're playing Effect Veiler. So I just feel like if it goes off, it's great, and it is searchable via Yugioh X, so there are ways to perform the combo, but I don't think it's going to have a drastic impact on the format. I mean, there will be some shenanigans, but you're not going to run into Cyberstein FTK at a regional, let's be real, guys. And then another surprising limit, I think, on this list is Dark Grepher. I can mostly attest this again to dangers, because being able to discard Nessie to summon a Grepher, or discard a danger from your hand, dump Malicious in the grave, it's pretty powerful. It's more hits for the Warrior toolbox. I feel like this is kind of Konami's way of curbing that deck without touching Soul Day or Summon Sorceress, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. But it makes sense, because if it's in some ways it's better than it's better than its brother Armageddon Knight, but it's kind of a strange hit. Shruid actually came back to 1 on this list. This is mostly because all the Necro stuff is getting reprinted. I actually think Cyberstein is also going to get reprinted in Dual Power too, but all the Necro stuff is being reprinted, so bringing the Necro stuff off the list makes sense. However, Unicorn is still at 1. Construct also came off the list back to 1. This is another reason why I think Snow is banned, is because it's one of the better light targets you can send to the graveyard with Construct. If you look at the rest of the light targets you can send with Shaddoll Fusion, there's Damage Juggler, there's Trick Clown, and then you kind of go off from there. There's not a ton. I don't think we're in the... With Snow, it would have maybe been a bit too much, so I can kind of see why Snow is banned because of this. I don't think this takes Shaddolls back to where they were in 2015. Construct is still a really, really good card, but they need multiple constructs to even think about coming back. But it's really good to see the card back, and hopefully it'll be Act 3 in a couple of lists. Another limited card is Brilliant Fusion. This was one of the more surprising changes, but I think this is a fairly obvious hit Thunder Dragons. The problem with Brilliant Fusion is that at first we all thought Seraph Knight was the problem, but then people realized there's other fusions. There's Prismura that can allow you to dump Thunders in the graveyard, which is great in Thunder Dragons. You have, God, I can't remember its name, the Rock Fusion, that it can dump Black Dragons to the graveyard to allow you to, search Fossil Lightning, which is really powerful. Brilliant Fusion has more than just Seraph Knight as a target. So that's definitely, I think, a factor in terms of it being put to 1. It makes sense. And this also, I think, forces people, if they're going to play Brilliant Fusion as an engine anymore, you have to play Plants, which helps to sell Jasmine when it comes out in April. So this is another move, I think, just to push new product, and this means that if you want to play Brilliant Fusion, you're going to have to play Plants now, which is not a bad thing, but it's definitely, I think, a hit more to Thunder Dragons than anything else. Speaking of Thunder Dragons, Gold Sarcophagus is also going to 1. It makes sense. It just basically turns Gold Sarc with Thunder Dragons is a really powerful interaction. It's not once per turn. This is mostly to curb the consistency of that deck. It just makes sense to limit Gold Sarcophagus. Magical Midbreaker Field, this is a good limit in my opinion. I remember when Brad first introduced me to the card during Full Power Spiral, he explained that the card is good because it allows your combos to go off unhindered, but it does something when you draw it. So as a set rotation target, it was really good because unlike Oracle or Gateway, it was not a brick in the traditional sense. So this is just, again, another hit to these Build-A-Board decks that are running around. I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Has always had this issue with Build-A-Board decks since the DDD structure came out, and this is just another toolbox card that needed to go to 1. Because I think putting it to 1 makes it really unviable, because it's one of those cards that has to be activated immediately at the start of your main phase 1, which means that you can't terraforming it out and then activate it, which I think makes the card more fair. Putting it at 1, it basically makes it to the point where it's not viable to play anymore. A strange hit is Scapegoat went from 2 to 1. I don't think Scapegoat was seeing much play at 2, because Trickstars have basically been pushed to the point of irrelevancy. But I can understand why it's at 1. I think being able to make a 1-card Borrely Boy is a bit much, so I understand why it's at 1. Slash Draw is also put to 1. I was more expecting Yugioh, and I have seen a lot of crazy Yugioh combos, but Slash Draw, it's basically put to 1, so it's not even viable to use anymore, and that makes me sad. But at the same time, I feel like it does limit future card design in terms of cards that will put cards back from your hand to the top of your deck, so it does make sense. Then there's no semi-limits, which great Konami, about time. But for the unlimit, so Hornet is finally off the list at 3 now. Unfortunately, Dragonfly is still on the ban list, but nevertheless, Insector's getting something back is better than nothing. Brianak is coming back to help sell the new Necro stuff. I still don't think Necros, even especially with only 1 Unicore, is going to be able to be, a meta relevant deck in 2019. But it's nice to have those pieces off the legs. Exiton, again, you're not playing more than 1, so it made sense to pull it up. Kaiju Slumber is one of the more interesting changes because having more board wipes is actually not a bad thing, but we are in a format where it doesn't do as much. Sky Striker, Ray will trigger, but it does put monsters in the main monster zone, so it's not terrible against Sky Striker. Preventing them from activating their effects is not bad. And it searches Kaijus. It's pretty good. I think it's a nice card off the list. Stormforce is an interesting one. I don't really... We're far past the point where Monarchs are relevant, especially with Pantheism and Aether still at 1. But Stormforce is one of the best generic removal cards in the game. This really helps True Dracos if people are still playing them, which I've seen a lot of people still playing it. Helps that deck because you contribute your opponent's monsters with the spells and traps, which is pretty darn nice. But I don't think it's going to, drastically alter things, just make True Dracos a little bit better. One of the bigger unlimits, though, is Eradicator. Eradicator, as long as I've been playing this game, since like 2014, has been limited. Now it's at 3. This is an interesting thing because it's really good against what will probably be the best 2 decks of the format, which are Sky Striker and Altergeist. You call spells against Sky Striker unless it hurts. If you call trap against Altergeist, it hurts. It's in a pretty good spot, and consequently, Thunder Dragons can utilize this card. It's still a really win button in the correct matchup, in my opinion, and it's nice to see it at 3, because at 1, it's not really a viable option in most cases. Infernity Barrier is, with Archfiend still at 1, I don't really think this radically changes Infernities at all. Probably not really that relevant, but I guess, why not? Wind Up Magician, I don't really understand why it sat at 2 for so long in the first place, especially without Carrier. Even with the new Link monster, I think it's just a Link spam deck, which is fine. At least it's, more viable to play. Hyper Librarian, I don't know if you would be playing 3, but it's at 3, I guess, if you really want to. But in limited removal, this card is still pretty damn good, but I don't really think there's a lot of situations you want to play it in your deck at 3. But it's a pretty decent little card, and it's good to have it back. So anyway, guys, about comes to the end of the video today. Let me know what you guys think of this ban list down in the comment section below. And as always, I thank you guys for watching. Scorestorm, signing out.